Some Marvel moments punch you in the gut while others tug at your heart. And then there are the kisses that stem from awkward face smashes to soft goodbye pecks to full-on emotional wreckage. In this video, we're counting down the best Marvel movie kisses, ranked from worst to best, from the ones we'd rather forget to the ones that made the whole theater go quiet. Let's start with the kisses that left us scratching our heads. At number 15, we've got Bruce Banner and Natasha Romanoff from Avengers Age of Ultron. This kiss felt like Marvel tried to toss in a romantic subplot just to shake things up, and it never quite landed. Their connection is built on shared trauma, but instead of growing naturally, it jumps straight into flirtation and lullabies. Natasha calling herself a monster because she can't have kids raised more eyebrows than empathy. And then there's the infamous moment where she literally pushes Bruce off a ledge to trigger the Hulk, as that's romantic. Their kiss is drenched in soft lighting and dramatic music, but the emotional payoff just isn't there. It felt underdeveloped and disappeared as fast as it came, as it had no follow-up or resolution. Not even a goodbye in Infinity War. No amount of piano music can save this kiss. Sliding in at 14 is Steve Rogers and Sharon Carter in Captain America: Civil War. Even the most loyal Cap fans had questions about this one. Steve's heart was clearly still with Peggy Carter, so locking lips with her niece just felt off. The kiss happens after some light flirting and a shared mission, but it comes out of nowhere like Marvel suddenly remembered they needed a love interest, and the timing couldn't be weirder. Peggy had just passed, and now Steve kissing her family member at her funeral reception? The moment gets a little boost from Bucky and Sam's approving nods in the car, but even that feels like Marvel trying to distract us from how strange it really is. Then Endgame happens, and Steve goes back in time to live his life with Peggy, which officially turns this kiss into one of the most awkward detours in MCU romance history. Taking the 13th spot is Thor and Jane Foster in Thor. She's a brilliant astrophysicist, and he's a literal Norse god with a hammer. The shipping sounds like a power couple in the making, but somehow when it comes time for their big kiss, it feels more like two co-workers trying not to laugh during a serious scene. To be fair, their chemistry improves a bit in the Dark World, but by Ragnarok, Jane's written off with one line about a mutual breakup. It's not that they didn't try, the kiss just never quite lands. For a love that's supposed to span realms, it barely spans a believable connection. The romance level is low, and so is the lightning. Next, we have kisses that have potential but ultimately fell flat. At number 12, we've got Meredith, Quill, and Ego in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Their kiss is set to Brandy, which is a romantic soft rock ballad that Ego claims explains their whole relationship. They're dancing in a sunny forest, and he's telling stories about space. Then we learn the truth. Ego gave Meredith cancer just to keep himself from getting attached, and suddenly that kiss doesn't feel so charming anymore. The scene wants you to feel warm and nostalgic, but on a second watch, it becomes pure emotional manipulation. Number 11 goes to Vision and Wanda in Avengers Infinity War. By the time they kiss in that quiet hotel room, they're already deeply in love apparently, but for casual viewers, it feels like we skipped a whole season of their relationship. Their last major interaction was on opposite sides of a superhero brawl in Civil War, and now they're gazing into each other's eyes and talking about sneaking off to Scotland. Sure, the kiss is gentle and emotional, but there's a gap in that storytelling that keeps it from really hitting. It's like we walked into the cinema late and missed the first half of their romance. Now, let's look at kisses that warmed our hearts. Cracking the top 10 is Clint and Laura Barton in Avengers Endgame. Most Marvel kisses happen mid-battle or right before disaster, but this one hits different. After losing his family in the blip and spiraling into Ronin mode, Clint finally reunites with them, and that's when he sees Laura again. There's no grand speech or dramatic music, rather just a short, quiet kiss in the middle of a backyard. It's not passionate or flashy, but it's earned, and after everything Clint's been through, it lands like a sigh of relief. Sometimes subtle is stronger than spectacle. Landing at number 9 is Peter Quill and Gamora from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. This kiss had build-up, tension, and just enough awkwardness to make it feel authentic. Quill's been flirting since the first movie, and Gamora's been dodging it with a blade in hand, but after facing death, ego, literally, and dancing metaphors, she finally lets her guard down. Their moment comes after Gamora admits she feels something, and just when Quill's done being a goofball for once, she leans in. The kiss may not stop the galaxy from falling apart, but it's a rare glimpse of softness between two hardened characters. And for once, it's not cut short by a villain or explosions or a talking raccoon. Now we're entering the territory of kisses that hit harder because of the stakes. Swooping into number 8 is Ikaris and Circe in Eternals. Their kiss is one of the rare few Marvel moments where everything slows down and quite literally. Set against a golden sunset in ancient Babylon, it's meant to show centuries of love between a godlike being and a deeply empathetic Eternal. The chemistry is calm, but the kiss itself carries weight because of its history. Even if the romance later crumbles under betrayal and celestial drama, in this moment, it's all about connection. It might not be the most passionate kiss on the list, but it feels timeless in the way only a mortal heartbreak can. Coming in at number 7 is Scott Lang and Hope Van Dyne in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. From the beginning, their dynamic has always been built on fast-paced banter and quiet mutual respect, and by the time we finally reach their third film, it feels like they've settled into something solid, something that doesn't need constant proving. Their kiss happens in the middle of the quantum realm chaos, and it's not grand or overly staged, but what makes it work is the timing. Because just when Scott thinks he might not make it back, Hope shows up without hesitation and fights alongside him like she always has. When they finally kiss, it's two people who have risked everything more than once and still choose to show up for each other even in the worst possible odds. It's a rare Marvel moment where the relationship doesn't need to be explained with flashbacks or speeches because the kiss says everything it needs to. Sliding into number 6 is Tony Stark and Pepper Potts, whose complicated love story spans nearly the entire MCU saga and finally finds its payoff in Avengers Endgame. Their relationship starts off rocky, with Tony's ego and danger-filled lifestyle clashing against Pepper's grounded pragmatism. But over time, it grows into one of the most believable and deeply emotional connections in the whole franchise. Their kiss in Endgame is the culmination of years of tension, sacrifice, and mutual growth, coming after Tony has faced death and nearly lost everything. What makes it stand out is the raw emotion behind it. A reunion between two people who've been through hell and come out stronger, sharing a moment of relief and hope before the final battle. Number 5 is T'Challa and Nakia in Black Panther. Their kiss happens right after T'Challa takes back Wakanda from Killmonger. It shows Nakia chose to stay and help rebuild rather than run away. The kiss is short, but it seals their complicated history and her loyalty. Unlike flashy MCU kisses, this one is quiet but full of real stakes, as it's about home, duty, and second chances. Finally, the kisses that left a lasting impact. At number 4, it's Peter Parker and MJ in Spider-Man: No Way Home. Their first proper kiss in this film isn't about swinging off into the sunset, it's about Peter's messy apartment mid-chaos just before everything spirals. Although understated, there's that charm. MJ isn't the damsel and Peter's no longer the wide-eyed kid. They've seen things and have lost people, and somehow they found each other. So it's a kiss that feels earned, not just because of teen chemistry, but because they fought side by side, literally. But then comes the real gut punch when Peter has to make everyone forget him to save the world. MJ becomes collateral damage. That goodbye kiss outside the coffee shop when she's blissfully unaware that he's about to vanish from her life is heartbreaking. The memory of that kiss lingers when he visits her later and decides not to rekindle what they had is subtle but unforgettable, kinda like their whole story. Number 3 goes to Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy in Spider-Man: Across the Spider-Verse. Their kiss is quick but loaded with everything that makes their story unique. It's the mix of teenage love and heartbreak stretched across multiple dimensions. Unlike other Marvel couples, their connection is fractured by parallel realities that keep pulling them apart. Peter's guilt over past mistakes and Gwen's struggle to hold on to what they have adds weight to this moment. This kiss is about the hope that maybe, somehow, their worlds could collide again. Number 2 belongs to Steve Rogers and Peggy Carter in Captain America: The First Avenger. Their kiss happens after Steve stops a squad of Nazi bombers in midair and crashes back into a muddy meadow somewhere in Europe. Then, instead of celebration, it turns into a stolen moment behind enemy lines where everything else fades away. Peggy leads them into a canvas tent lit by a single lamp, and as they dance to a scratchy record on an old gramophone, you can almost hear the world holding its breath. There are no capes or CGI here, just two people who've risked everything for each other, sharing a soft kiss that's equal parts of relief, hope, and heartbreak. In that instant, Steve isn't a super soldier, but a man transported by love. While Peggy isn't just an ally, she's the reason he's willing to keep fighting. This kiss isn't a flash in the pan, but the spark that ignites a legend. Its warmth lingers long after the war ends. And topping the list, Stephen Strange and Christine Palmer in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. He's faced monsters, timelines, and multiverses, but this is the first time he's let his guard down and says what he could never before. I love you. Then comes the kiss. Not to his Christine, but to a version of her from a completely different universe right before walking away forever. It's closure, and somehow, it's what makes it unforgettable. Subscribe for more countdown moments.